Good afternoon. It's really nice to be in Portugal in the sunshine, and my job is to keep you awake and interested after a very good lunch. So I'm going to try and condense 10 years' work of growing creative and digital industries and the lessons that we've learned into 15 minutes. So this is where we work. The pink area is a region of England called Yorkshire. Its population is big. It's the biggest English region. Population makes it on the same level as countries like Singapore, Scotland, and Denmark. That's London at the bottom, Manchester on the left. So we are, like Porto, in the north of the country. And for a good number of years in the 80s and 90s, Yorkshire had a really thriving television industry. Yorkshire Television produced some of the most well-known programs on the English independent network. Screen Yorkshire, I'm Chief Exec of Screen Yorkshire, and we were formed 10 years ago as part of a network of regional screen agencies. And each region of the country had a screen agency, and their job was to support the growth of these sectors, creative and digital, in that particular region. And the benefit of that was that you were able to deal with the particular problems or advantages that your own region had. And it was absolutely about economics. It was recognizing that this is an industry that doesn't just make lovely TV programs and films that we all like to see, but that it has a really solid economic base. So that was going very well for 10 years until, following a change of government, things went slightly wrong. But earlier this year, I launched Screen Yorkshire back onto the market as a content financier. So Yorkshire, we'll go back a bit here. Big region, important region, really strong, proud cultural identity. Big TV industry, lots of small independent companies that came out of that big TV industry, set up on their own, factual program makers. But also a great place for making drama. So household names in England, Emmerdale, a long-running soap, Heartbeat, Last of the Summer Wine, All Creatures Great and Small, big names, all shot in Yorkshire, and a great place for making films. So if you've heard of the Full Monty, Brastoff, they all came out of Yorkshire. So everything going really well. Until the industry starts to change, and the market that those small indies contributed to started to consolidate, and we had the rise of super indies. The big independent broadcaster decided to mothball part of its production in Yorkshire. BBC set up a big centre just over the hills in the northwest in Manchester. And so this thriving region that had done so well suddenly was under enormous pressure, and the industry that was proud and big and well known gradually went like this over a fairly short period of time. And then at the same time we had this thing called digital, multi-platform and games, which was starting to come up. Production levels plummeted. Redundancies, workforce being made redundant, big numbers. Film budgets in decline, multi-platform coming up and creating havoc in the industry. And the only thing that is worse than having no industry at all is being told that your reputation is old-fashioned. And there was a point where Yorkshire's greatest claim to fame was making lovely Sunday night dramas with sheep. Rolling hills, lots of sheep, very rural and very old-fashioned. So, lots and lots of things to get to grips with here from Screen Yorkshire's point of view. So, 2006 we launched a £10 million programme of investment into the sector to start regenerating it. This was the largest regional support programme in England in terms of the money coming in, and that money came from the public sector. The important thing was it was the public sector recognising that this is an industry. It's not lovely pictures on TV screens, it is an economic driver. We put money into funding production, we put money into business development, we put money into teaching people about multi-platform, and alongside that we had talent development schemes. 3 priority areas. Production fund, it was really simple. Put money into attracting better, more contemporary drama into Yorkshire. No sheep, please. So we went for unexpected, things that you would never have expected to be produced in drama. Really talked about hard-hitting, strong drama. So This Is England, the film, and then the spin-off TV series. Red Riding was a trilogy for Channel 4. The Damned United. They put us back on the map. And then Warp Films, which made This Is England, we put money into that company and into a slate of low-budget feature. Alongside that, we started pushing money into companies. That was identifying the companies that had the high growth potential. We did a benchmarking exercises. If you were a lifestyle company, thank you very much, but you're not the ones we're looking for. We put mentors into those companies, and with a very flexible pot of money, we put money in at the critical moment. And that might have been to bring in a senior member of staff, to take them out to a new market, whatever it was to take the next step, that money was available. And actually it wasn't all about money, because part of it was having the moral support for producers trying to find their way. And then the other big area was multi-platform, which was, 4 years ago, nobody really understood. Nobody could find the business models that generated revenues. So working with broadcasters, BBC, Channel 4, we ran a series of schemes which were about teaching people what multi-platform meant, what skills you needed to have, what it meant for content development. So it wasn't something you added on at the end of a TV programme. It was something that was integral to the whole creative development programme. What worked? Production funding, without a doubt. Bringing fantastic projects in or creating them out of the region put us back on the map. Multi-platform helped people understand and think differently. So we now have a group of really thriving digital, online, games, app development companies. What could have been improved? This is the polite way of saying what didn't work. For a period, it felt as if everything was working. But the extraordinary thing that happened in the UK at that time was that the government realised that you could build small businesses by putting business support schemes around them. And what happened in Yorkshire was we suddenly had, whereas we might have had 3 business support schemes. Suddenly we had 300 business support schemes. So for producers, nobody knew where to go. And all of those support schemes were publicly funded. So they all had their own targets to meet. So they were all operating in competition with one another. So the market was just flooded. There was no alignment between these support agencies. So the moral of that story is don't expand too much. Don't expand too quickly. And what this business supports, the other business support schemes didn't do was to take a sector-specific focus. And that's what we did. Our specialism was this industry. We didn't do manufacturing, print, fashion. I don't know anything about those sectors, but what we do know is film, TV, games. So we stuck to that, and that is the most effective model of business support. We measured success on a range of levels, and this is really important when people are paying you from the public purse. So we measured quantitatively, we created over 1,000 jobs over actually it was just over 3-year period by the time we got going. By early 2010, we had brought £83 million in. So for every pound every euro we invested, we were bringing 8 back in. We worked with 800 businesses, and we worked with individuals as well. So freelance crew, business entrepreneurs, whoever it was, there was this pot of money that was there to support them. The biggest gain for us was that change in reputation. No one has mentioned sheep to me for 3 years, 4 years. People talk to us about fantastic projects that we've made. So better profile, better PR, better reputation, which in turn brings better people, better projects into Yorkshire. And it's resulted in significant company growth. So the 2 biggest companies for media production in the independent sector are True North in TV. We've worked with them since they were 3 people. They're now 70. And Warp, which is Warp Films, is an international success story. How am I doing for time? Okay. So where next? Following change of government, this whole network of screen agencies was disbanded. And Screen Yorkshire had to make a decision about whether to close down completely or take a different avenue. And very fortunately, 2 years ago, we started work on an application to Europe for a new fund. And we launched that at the beginning of this year. So Screen Yorkshire's role now is that of a financier, and we put money into film, TV, video games, anything that is content which has a commercial return on it. And the reason we have gone down that line is because we know that if production levels are high, everything else stems from that. I can say that now because we've done the work on building businesses and helping move through that landscape. But now for us, it's production. It's the big player in the room. It brings multi-million-pound projects, it brings profile, it brings more projects, it provides inspiration and aspiration, it provides training opportunities. and hopefully we will get our money back, and that will allow us to reinvest. Just one other thing really quickly, which is to say, part of what we did was to set up networks, to bring together groups of people who were content developers. Most of the time we worked across sectors, with the exception of the games industry, where we set up Game Republic specifically for those games developers. And we brought commissioners, publishers into the regions. And those networks were critical because it allowed the creators to get together and share experiences, but it also allowed us to help develop those creators collectively. So we had one conversation rather than 90. If Porto goes on this journey, I wish you every luck. When you get it right, it is fantastic. You can find out more there. Thank you very much.